Welcome to Denver. Welcome to Colorado. This is exciting that you would have your first assembly here. David, we're grateful to have this assemblage here just because we do like to talk about what we've been doing in Colorado, and we are great believers. Jeff Ackerman, who runs our Department of Energy. Wave, Jeff, just so you know. Anything I say that's mistaken or wrong is really his fault. I also want to recognize Paul Scharfenberger. He and his team at the Colorado Energy Office also helped us create the progress we've seen in terms of PACE financing in Colorado. And again, I couldn't be more enthusiastic about having you guys all here in Broncos country. So, yeah. And here's one of those weird things. So, you know, this year they moved the Super Bowl back. I think it was this year. It might have been last year, but I think it was this year. They needed an extra week. So for the first time, the Super Bowl was in February. It was on February 7th. February 7th is my goddamn birthday. So when the Broncos somehow managed to beat the Patriots 2 weeks before, and I hadn't even looked at what date the Super Bowl was, and you know, that old music that they used to have on the TV show, The Twilight Zone, like dee 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 dee. I swear to God, I began to hear that music, and then I started betting, making every wager I could that the Broncos were going to win, because I figured if God had sent that beam of light down to shine on me for that moment, you know, the Broncos would not be denied. But I think they're a great metaphor for what you guys are about, because this year the Broncos really didn't win because of one person, right? They had Peyton Manning's a remarkable human being, a wonderful guy, but he did not have a great year. He didn't have a great Super Bowl game. The Broncos won because they worked together. And if you look at just in terms of pace, but really on a broader scale, what we're all doing around sustainable energy, making sure that we are addressing this global issue of climate change in pragmatic, cost-effective ways, it's everybody working together. Now, of course, we don't have outside linebackers like the Broncos had, but we do have a lot of leadership at a lot of different levels around the country. And I think that collaborative approach is exactly why I came into politics. You know, I was a geologist to begin with. The price of oil collapsed back in the mid-'80s. I ended up opening the brew pub down, as I said, in 1988. And one of the things we did was we got all the restaurants in lower downtown, the kind of at the other end of downtown from where you are right now. And we got everybody really working together. And each restaurant was kind of advertising each other. And people said, you know, this is dog-eat-dog, Hickenlooper. You've never worked in a restaurant. What are you doing, you know, marketing your competition in your vestibule? And I said, you know, maybe our real competition aren't the other restaurants. Our real competition is the TV set. And our job is to get people, you know, off their couch, out the door, to enjoy life with their family and friends. If we do a good enough job and our competitors do a good enough job, you know, we will increase the entire pool. And I think that's a huge part of what's going on with PACE, is that collaborative ability to begin to show the public, this isn't just about, you know, burning less hydrocarbons. It's also about saving money and putting it into people's household budgets or commercial property owners' budgets. It's about economic development. It's about job growth. And it is about a sustainable energy future. We worked hard here. When I came in, we really pushed getting rid of red tape, fostering innovation, making sure we had collaboration between nonprofits, business, and government. All that stuff ties into PACE. You know, even as we prioritize energy efficiency and renewable energy, water conservation, all these things that are applicable in Colorado to PACE, we looked at the different players that needed to all work together to really begin to create the synergies and the momentum that would get this moving forward. And when I first hired Jeff, one of the things we talked about was how do we get the financing system so that people can make these investments and save energy, save water, and pay for them over a period of time and make that easy. How do you make sure that happens? And we thought, we wanted to make sure part of that had to be that whether you were an administrator, a financier, a contractor, a building owner, that we wanted to make it as easy as possible for that kind of transaction to take place. We wanted to make sure that people understood that Colorado was open for business. And I think as we were doing that here, it's been going on all around the country. On a national level, and you guys probably know these numbers better than I do, but PACE has already financed over $1.4 billion in projects, total job growth of over 12,000 jobs. Just in the commercial sector, the deal flows top 200 million with over 2,500 jobs. I mean, that level of investment and job creation is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think as the public begins to understand this, and there's broader acceptance in different sectors of the economy, we're going to see a fairly robust acceleration. We're very excited in Colorado. We recently launched the CPACE program. So we're one of 16 states that has implemented commercial PACE programming. And being able to use private sector financial dollars, but by leveraging the public infrastructure, right? Being able to use the systems already in place allows us to deliver savings and benefits to properties and businesses nationwide at the least cost possible. This basically open financing model generates investing opportunities for all kinds of lenders. You look at every level of bank there is and non-traditional lenders as well, but all through private dollars. And so when we're selling this to the legislature, we're able to say, we're not trying to get tax dollars. We want you to help get some of this red tape out of the way and be able to use the infrastructure that's already in place to grow this market. Now, most building owners at this point are already aware of the significant cost-saving benefits from energy efficiency projects, but have been, traditionally a little leery of the upfront capital costs and, in many cases, the limited financing terms that are available to them, the way they couldn't get appraisals to recognize their investment. Our CPACE program really allows developers and commercial property owners the ability to spread the costs over a much longer period of time, up to 20 years, while making sure that business owners get the immediate operational cost-saving benefits. This is a statewide program, but it's voluntary, which again is something the legislature responds to. And it really has removed a great many of the hurdles for individual counties or municipalities that want to establish their own PACE programs. And once we put this out there, it was amazing how rapidly those local communities began to step forward. It allows a standardized state model that can be rapidly scaled. We've also put in, built in several consumer protection standards to make sure that the integrity of the program is protected. We don't want a black eye in the first couple of years that, takes away anything from that momentum and that acceleration. One of those safeguards is making sure that we require the mortgage holder to consent to the placement of a PACE priority lien. In almost every case, they do that, but we just make sure that we've got everybody on the same side of the ball. On the residential side, we've been closely monitoring the number of projects and the scale of development taking place these last few years, and again, beginning to see real acceleration there. We've been rewarded with some of the recent policy changes. This notion of a new contractually subordinated residential PACE model, I think may be at long last a solution to the previous implementation barriers. We're going to continue to explore the new developments within residential PACE as we try to make our system that makes the most sense for the Colorado landscape, and making sure that we get that story shared. So in the process of what you're all doing here, you hear what we're up to, but we also hear what you're up to. And I'm going to guess that we'll be the big winners here because there are probably so many ideas from different parts of the country that hopefully we'll be able to pick up on over the next day or two. Again, this comes back to the collaborative approach and championing innovative approaches such as what PACE is based upon, and making sure that we can get more economic development, greater efficiency, job creation, and a truly lasting sustainable energy for future. Sometimes it seems difficult, almost impossible. And I always, when I first ran for mayor, and I am a Democrat, but I ran as a nonpartisan, and we were at like 4% in the polls, and we couldn't get any traction. Everybody kept saying, who's your constituency? Entrepreneurs. I said, well, I served on 40 nonprofit boards. Anyway, sometimes my young volunteers would get discouraged, and I carried this clipping around from the Denver Post of a professor of public speaking at the University of Wyoming up in Laramie, talking about the importance of using opposites if you're trying to create emotional impact. So if you talk about the worst of times, you talk about the best of times. If you talk about the agony, you talk about the ecstasy. The words gain impact by being together. And she asked her class, what's the opposite of despair? Kid raised her hand and goes, joy? She goes, exactly. You want people to feel despair, use joy in the same sentence. What's the opposite of woe? And a kid way in the back raises his hand and goes, giddy up! And I think the bottom line, actually I'm going to, that's a long story, but that is the opposite of woe. And when you guys have difficulty getting that last bit of legislation done in your home states, your home communities, when it seems toughest, it is the time that you just have to work a little bit harder. So we're here to support you any way we can. I hope you have a great time here. Giddy up with PACE.